their goodbyes on Twitter. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They were all leaving and saying their goodbyes because the site was going to melt down. And
Yeah, to totally fail and
All the journalists left.
yeah, and
Which is, if you ever want to like hang out with a bunch of hall monitors, oh my God, Threads is amazing. Every time I go over there and post, they're like, they're really triggered. But
yeah, I mean, if you like being condemned repeatedly, then, you know, for reasons that make no sense, then Threads is the way to go.
yeah, it's really, it's the most miserable place on earth. If Disney's the happiest, this is the anti-Disney.
Yeah.
But if we were to go into government, you went into the Department of Education or pick the department. You've worked with a lot of them, actually.
Sure.
You can't go in there in zero-based budget. Okay, we get it. But if you could just pair 2, 3, 4, 5% of those organizations, what kind of impact could that have?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd need to do more than that. I think
Ideally, but
yeah.
compounding every year, 2 or 3% a year, I mean, it would be better than what's happening now.
Yeah, look, I think we've you know, if Trump wins, and obviously I suspect there are people with mixed feelings about whether that should happen, but we do have an opportunity to do kind of a once-in-a-lifetime deregulation and reduction in the size of government. Because the other thing, besides the regulations, America is also going bankrupt extremely quickly. And nobody seems to, everyone seems to be sort of whistling past the graveyard on this one. But
They're all grabbing the silverware. Everyone's stuffing their pockets in the silverware before the Titanic sinks. It's like,
well, you know, the Defense Department budget is a very big budget. Okay, it's $1 trillion a year. DoD Intel, it's $1 trillion. And interest payments on the national debt just exceeded the Defense Department budget. They're over $1 trillion a year, just in interest, and rising. We're adding $1 trillion to our debt, which our kids and grandkids are going to have to pay somehow. Every 3 months.
What's up?
Hi, Jira. We brought you here today to let you know that we made the business decision to switch to ClickUp. Your performance has been decreasing over the last few quarters.
So here's a video that Iran made in response to Trump saying, "We have not forgotten that you killed our hero, Qasem Soleimani." Watch this video, and then we're going to show you a response from what Trump says to this. Go ahead, Rob. It's actually very good job.
Great production.
Editing.
Look at that drone shot. Uh-oh, you guys don't want to know what that said. Revenge is definite.
Iranis.
Okay.
All right.
So
how are you processing that?
All right. Then show Trump's reaction to it, and then we'll react to the
Trump
whole thing.
reacted to it. Good.
Yeah, this is Trump's reaction to it. Go ahead.
Everybody in Congress. But if I were the president, I would inform the threatening country, in this case Iran, that if you do anything to harm this person, we are going to blow your largest cities and the country itself to smithereens. We're going to blow it to smithereens. You can't do that. and there would be no more threats. There would be no more threats. But right now, we don't have that leadership or the necessary people, the necessary leaders. We have two people, not one. We don't even know who our president is right now. Who is our president right now?
It's facts.
We really don't know, but we have two people, not one, that only keep looking. And when you do that, when you just look, trouble always ensues. So it's big trouble for our country.
Okay, you can
Meanwhile,
pause it
we
right
have
there.
the president
All right.
of.
So how do you process that video, Tom?
Well, look, you know, it's basically a video game movie that Iran has made. Revenge is definite. You know, you used to have, you know, a guy in a cave taking a selfie, talking about what would happen. And we would hear on our news that the CIA was trying to determine in the rock formations if they could identify where that was. Remember that? And we're trying to figure it out. And so threats on video have been going from left to right for a long time. And now they've elevated it up to the whole, you know, concept of, you know, a little robot that's going to paint the laser on there. And by the way, that's older technology. Painting the laser is...
Tom, I know what you're saying, and you're downplaying. You do that sometimes, and you downplay stuff. They just threatened to kill a president, Tom. Okay,
No.
former president. So, Vinny, what is your thoughts when you see something like this?
Great. That's the point. Like
understand
Iran is paying attention. Like think about. You know what that said to me?
Yeah.
That Iran is paying attention to all of the Secret Service gaps in our protection for the president. That video in the bushes. That means they're watching the Ryan Ralph. They know that they can get to him. They know that the perimeter is easily breachable. He's easy to get to. I mean, the overhead, you know, laser, whatever. But that's a. If you think about it, if you have a remote control something, that it could run right up on him and blow up. I think that's them. That's a threat.
If you are, look at it from the, maybe let me make the question a better question, Tom. I want to come back to you. If you are the Department of Homeland Security, you're the head of it. You can't downplay something like this. That's not your job. That's the job of a pundit or a podcaster or a TV person to do. You're the Department of Homeland Security, or whatever you want to call the position that's going to be, choose one of them. You see this. What should be our reaction? Should we just be like, whatever, it's not a big deal and move on?
Do you remember when Norman Schwarzkopf would lay out that deck of cards and they had all the Iranian people on the deck of cards?
Iraq most wanted deck of cards, right?
Right, exactly. You know, if they, my point is, you know, you sense that I was downplaying. Maybe I was a little bit, but my point is these threats get made every day. And if they want to do this, then under the cover of darkness, under the cloak of secrecy, you know, we'll pick a card out of the deck and we'll go pop somebody. That's what I do. You know, once you're there and once you're available and you're in the chair and you can say, this is the way we don't play like this. That's where I go with it. If I'm the director of Homeland Security, I'm like, Mr. President, should we take one of those folks out of that deck of card and take care of something overnight and let somebody do it? Because remember when Trump took the picture of the guy's house out and flopped it out there? Yeah. Those are the moves to make. That's the move.
Well, this guy who they're talking about, Qasem Soleimani, am I saying that correctly, Pat? Thank God, because I know you got mad at me when I...
No, you did the right amount of chach.
Yeah,
you did the right
you
amount
got
of
mad at me when I called Khamenei. It was
Adam,
two different people.
You spit on the mic the right amount.
I got
Yeah, perfect.
So Soleimani...
So, the guy that was identified by a finger with a ring on it.
But, you know, it's not ironic that almost 5 years later, they're still trying to defend his legacy. But what's his legacy, I guess, is the question. Because, you know, this guy right here, you know, we just talked about Norman Schwarzkopf, whether you want to talk about General Mattis or whether Mick Raven. These are our generals. These aren't household names. In Iran, this is like a superhero to these guys. So, and what was he known for? He led the Quds Force, I want to say. The IRGC.
Is the equivalent of their former Ulysses S. Grant that was eventually a two-term president. That's kind of like...
But he was never the president, right?
No, he was going to be.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So
possibly, yeah.
He was their military commander, head of the Quds Force, which runs the part of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. But, you know, if you just look at his legacy, what did he do? He, number one, whether covertly or quite out in the open, supported militias all over the Middle East to sow discord all over the Middle East and basically allow the Iranian military-industrial complex to basically spread their tentacles and go fund all the reasons that the Middle East is basically unstable right now. The Triple H crew, the Hezbollah, the Hamas, the Houthis. He was their patriarch, their founder right there. And his goal was to basically counter U.S. presence in the region, to destabilize the Middle East. Iran, because of him, has become the greatest destabilizing actor in the Middle East since, I don't know, is there anyone that's ever destabilized the Middle East this bad? So he's in Iran, correct me if I'm wrong, he's sort of the symbol of the resistance to the Western presence, you know, whether it's America, whether it's Israel, whether it's democratic values, whether it's the war on the West that our friend Douglas Murray wrote a book about. But yeah, they've killed U.S. forces. He's an enemy of the United States. We should have taken him out.
He's an enemy of the
But
United
now
States.
they're
We should
threatening
take him
the
out
President of the
right
United
now.
States, Trump.
Yeah, he's their
with
shade. You know,
retribution.
Fuck yeah,
all
bro.
the leftists that come out of communist Central America, they wear the shade T-shirt. You know, he's their
They're Che
Che.
Guevara.
Yeah, he's their Che. So he's their poster boy for that.
Okay. Let's check. Let's give, yeah. Check. The fuck? What the fuck, bro? What the fuck, bro? Listen to something. Maybe Twitch? What's this guy doing?
Okay. Okay. Now, is she considered hot by the masses?
No. I think she's hot, yeah. I think she's like model. I think a lot of she's model look. I think a lot of she's very into like.
Does she deserve Justin Bieber?
Listen, I watched Wizards of Waverly Place when I was younger, so I'm on the Selena Gomez, Justin Bieber wave still.
Me too. I feel like Justin will never forget his first love.
I know,
which
right?
is
Like they were meant to be. I love Selena Gomez.
It just didn't work out for them. But you can tell that Selena always has a part in his heart. And I feel kind of bad for Haley for that reason. Okay. Okay, should we try
It's really good.
Wait, really?
I tried it already. It's really good. I mean, not $20 worth, but it's really good still.
Yeah, wait, so $20 each?
Explain this. She made this smoothie herself?
I don't know. I don't know the lore. I think so.
Okay.
Katy Perry also came out with a new smoothie here.
But no one's getting that one.
Well, I saw some people get it. I've never heard of it.
All right. And this is $20.
Can we see? Let me read
I'll mix
what's
it up
in
for you.
Nope.
What's in it?
Oh, I should have taken a picture of the sign.
Oh, it's okay. So, the Haley Berry Smoothie.
All I know is the stuff at the bottom is sweet. I'm so sorry. I just.
Oh, did you get splashed?
I'll get a new straw.
Oh, this straw broke?
What?
Wait, what happened?
She kind of came in my eye a little bit. And just like that, she's gone.
So it is, it has instant oatmeal, fat-free milk, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, whey powder. Instant oatmeal?
Oh, it's like instant oats?
Oh, this is another prime example of something that is more expensive, but not necessarily better than a smoothie that you would get at Taco Bell.
Well, with this thing, I totally agree with you.
All right, you ready to suck it? Ferrari. Corvette.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Cheers. Try it. You want to stick the straw in?
No, it's okay. No, suck it. Oh my god, put it in. I cleaned it. You don't like it?
I got a big.
Ooh. If you only drink the bottom shit is sweet. Okay, wait.
Okay, this is fucking delicious.
I know, right? This is fucking good.
This is so good. Arthur, you want
It's
to suck?
really fucking good.
Can I suck some?
Yeah, suck
Like,
some.
I would not
Give me those
consistently
flasks,
pay
bro.
$20 for this, but I've
Give me
had it,
those
like, twice
flasks.
before,
No,
and
that's-
each time I'm like, damn, that's fucking good.
No, that's really good.
I hate how good it is.
Yeah, it tastes like what I think like she would.
Mm-hmm. Do you like it? I love it.
I'm trying to get the flavors.
Yeah, get a good suck out of there.
Do you like it?
I don't want to make it sound bad, but this literally tastes like frozen strawberries, a little bit of instant oats, a little bit of ice cream, milk, maybe something else, and you literally have it at home.
Yeah.
Will you make it for us?
But it's still good.
I could try, but this reminds me of like a homemade
No, it does. Yeah,
smoothie.
yeah. Like, it does not taste like a $20
Yeah.
smoothie, but it just
Nope.
tastes like a really good
It does
smoothie.
taste good.
It's
Yeah.
good, but it's not.
It's not $20 worth.
It's
That's-
not too sweet.
That's something my mom would make me like during the summer.
Oh.
It's like summer holidays, you're playing video games, you just get a smoothie and you're like, oh, I don't want any, and then you try it and you're like, oh my god, I do.
And you just want to keep drinking it. That's how you know it's good.
Yeah.
Like, look at him.
The problem is, I'm still thirsty though.
Really? You don't feel quenched by this?
No, I feel like I need water.
Shit,
Yeah.
should
How
I
much
go,
is water
want me
here,
to go
like
get you
50
water?
No, it's okay. You don't have to do that.
I've got it right there.
Very fruity.
It's fucking much.
Well,
Oh,
it's
for
about
me?
that time.
Yeah.
No!
What? It's 12.
So, but it's
This guy, dude.
Breaking news. Sean P. Diddy Combs has been arrested and indicted on federal charges. The disgraced music icon has faced startling allegations for months of rape, sexual assault.
See, this was the crazy thing to me is like after everybody started exposing this dude, I was thinking to myself, why the fuck isn't this guy in jail? Well,
abuse, gun trafficking, and drug trafficking. On Monday evening, he was indicted by a grand jury in New York.
Fuck Diddy, bro. Fuck Diddy. This guy. Doofus. Doofus.
Imagine Warlock, Hell Knight, and Archdemon in one stack. And I think that makes it only two heroes. 30 seconds.
Did you? At your last job, Vinny.
You know, listen, I can't.
Next question,
you know,
sir.
I grew
Next
up. I grew
question.
up in a small neighborhood.
Yeah.
My mom had 3 jobs.
There was a
she tried
lawn.
she tried to raise us, and you know, it was rough. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your background here, there's a 6-year gap of not having a job.
Okay.
Why do you have a 6-year gap in your resume of not working?
Okay, so Patrick, I came from, a small town. Okay, my mom worked 3 jobs.
This would drive me nuts.
Dude, and that's all Kamala does.
I'm buying it.
And we
I'm
had
voting for
Alon.
that.
I remember Alon.
And I'm not burdened by what has been or what can be. Unburdened.
Never much for me. But anyways, guys, there's a few things.
Unburdened.
Mark Cuban has officially revealed what job he wants under Kamala Harris, and I have an idea why I think he wants that job. Mark, I think I have an idea why you want that job, and we'll talk about it because you were also on Theo Vaughn, and you guys texted Elon Musk, and what you texted Elon, and what he texted you back, and what's the last time you didn't text him back, or he didn't text you back. And then we got this other guy, that Eric Adams in New York, that's apparently being indicted, and even responded with a video. And AOC wants him gone yesterday.
I already worked on the
and who's going to replace him? Who is that person? Tom read the entire charter last night for New York. Literally, we're not kidding. He'll tell you an update on what's going on there. And then Shapiro, Josh Shapiro, you have to see what he's signing with Zelensky being there. And so when people tell, they tell me, oh my God, look at all the kids that were lost. How about the Russian kids? So it matters what kind of kids are dying, right? The Russian kids dying with the bombs that Shapiro is signing is not that important. So it matters what kind of, apparently that's what you guys care about, the people in media that want to say, look at all the kids and children that we lost. Because when you see this, signing a flipping bomb, like, hey, let me sign this that's going to explode and kill a bunch of people, and let's celebrate it. Let's put it in a museum in, Ukraine. And I think Kamala or Biden are thinking about giving him another $8 billion. Some story like that popped up. We'll talk about that.
That's Nikki Haley's move, signing bombs.
And long range, they're trying to, they want to give him long range.
Well, that's the establishment's movement. We'll talk about that. Iran trying to assassinate Donald Trump over U.S. leaders. They even made a video to get vengeance, seek.
Fuck with him, right? I mean, because it's like.
He loves being on Twitter too.
Oh, it's his thing, right?
That's his point.
Yeah, it's
I guess
his
if I
thing.
paid 40-something billion.
Yeah, you pay 44 billion. You better hang out. It's like why do I go to the Mavs games, right? But yeah, I don't dislike Elon, but he says some stupid shit, and it's just like I have no problem calling him out.
Yeah,
and he's thin-skinned, right? And so, like, I'll tell you my one little Elon story, right? So I didn't get to know him, but I was helped him with something or tried to help him. And so I had his number and I texted him a couple of times, like he had a kid and I'm like, congrats on your 97th kid. And he texted me back, Mars needs kids, right? Mars needs people. And I'm like, that's funny as shit, right? And so one day I had a Tesla and I said something about it and he just sends me a text with the article saying, fuck you. That's it. Just fuck you. And I was like, okay, I mean, it was the truth, right? Fuck you. I'm like, okay, so that's
a text with the article that what?
That I said something that wasn't totally positive about Tesla.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, right. So that's what the article was about.
Right. So he was just like, fuck you. I'm like, okay. And then it was nothing, no big deal. I don't care one way or the other. And then he buys Twitter, right? And then he starts getting real political, right?
Yeah.
And so not a lot of people are going to stand up to him. And I'm like, fuck it, I don't care, right? So he's called me racist. He's called me, poop emoji multiple times. He calls me all these names. And so, like, that to me, that just gives me license to fuck with him even more, right? I don't care if he calls me names. I don't give.
I have a question for you, Pat.
Yeah. He's a formidable candidate for the left. There's no question. He's just so you got. Right, so here's a question for you. So here's a question for you. Hey, conservatives, libertarians, independents, who are a little worried, guess what? Where are you going to put your money? What are you doing with the money that you have? I'm talking to the rich guys, the real rich people who have the money. You know what Musk is doing? He put $44 billion on Twitter. Lost 75% of valuation within 2 years because of all the advertisers he lost. And he's driving it. What company do you think he's driving the most on a daily basis right now? It's Twitter. What do you see him being most active for? Twitter. Now, it's an integrated business because he knows through Twitter he's going to drive Tesla and he's going to drive, SpaceX and everything. So it's all integrated the way he's done. It's brilliant. But what are you going to do? What are you going to buy? Soros just bought 200. By the way, we can bitch and whine all we want about Soros. Soros is doing the right thing if he wants to impose his ideology and agenda to it. If he believes in what he believes in, and you want to be able to control the narrative, he did the right thing buying those 200 radio stations. He did the right thing doing buying those 200 radio stations. And who do you think had a meeting with Alex Soros yesterday, his son? You know who had a meeting with Alex Soros yesterday? Just take a wild guess. Well, the president who's running for president is Kamala. Who's her vice president? What's the guy's name?
Tim Walz.
The guy that was in Alex Soros' living room in New York.
He was in Alex Soros' living room yesterday in New York.
Oh, weird. What kind of alliance is that?
What do you think with Huma Abedin being his new girl and all this stuff? What do you think he's doing there for? You think you know what's going to happen if Kamala wins? If Kamala wins without Iran doing anything and Trump being alive by the end of the election, it means they have a chokehold. They have a chokehold. You know what Zuck did recently, which was kind of interesting? What he did yesterday. Did you guys see what Zuck did yesterday?
He hired a libertarian advisor to help him approach the conservative media and conservative lobbyists.
Yes, that's what he did yesterday, because Zuckerberg is now saying that he relates. Yeah, he sees himself more as a libertarian, no longer a guy on the left. And by the way, I actually believe this. I actually believe he's going through this. Can you go a little bit lower, Rob? So in private, Marxism identifies with the libertarian ideology sourced on New York. Zuck is trying to repair his image of Republicans who have accused him of anti-conservative. His refusal to talk politics is distinct among his peers and his partisan schism in the tech world. So he is now going through this phase himself. For him to have the brass, I think one of the biggest things that happened the last 90 days is him coming out and talking about the fact that, yes, they were forcing me. Yes, Biden-Harris this. Yes, 400 million this. Yes, I think that's the biggest story last 90 days, and I don't see minus the assassination attempt. So to me, I think if Kamala wins with this strategy, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, you guys better unite. And you better put your money up. You better make some investments. That's what we're doing. We're building a campus. You're going to hear about what we're doing here. Announcement's going to be made. You know, we're doing our part. You know, we're competing in our own unique way, different than everybody else's. Our consulting firm is growing exponentially, and we're putting it back in the media side. And very soon, you know, you'll hear us about buying certain assets that some of you guys will hear about in the marketplace. We're playing an offense in a different way. But I think Kamala winning, going back to the case study when I said when we started printing money, I thought gold and Bitcoin is going to go up, and it didn't. If Kamala wins this way, the left will say to themselves, we have this in the back. It's over. We have it for decades to come. That's how they're going to process this.
Let me tell you why you are so on point and the bigger threat. Because not only do conservatives need to buy up these radio stations, right? Because we see what's going on in the universities. I think it's 13-1 liberal professors for conservative professors, and that stat might even be a little bit old at this point. So here, I sent you this article. This is from the European Conservative, okay? And they talked about George Soros. Why is George Soros scooping up all these radio stations? Well, they say this. Soros has a history of scooping up conservative media companies and changing their leadership and programming. Soros purchased a media company in Poland before last fall's election and unseated the conservative law and justice party in the government. And you interviewed the guy from Poland, our buddy. What was his name again?
Tarczynski. Dominic
What a beast.
Tarczynski.
So here's what he's doing. By the way, he said, billionaire George Soros has reportedly been approved to purchase Odyssey, as our friend Rob did that. I'm wondering, why the hell are you buying radio stations right here? So who does Odyssey own? Here it is right here. Soros, the 93-year-old left-wing globalist, bought $400 million of debt in Odyssey after the company declared bankruptcy. So we got a great deal on it, making him the largest shareholder. The company, here it is, has since restructured and is currently home to conservative voices like, you ready? Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, and Glenn Beck. So all these guys, some of the biggest conservative voices in the country, are on the platform of Odyssey. So who's Glenn Beck's new boss? Who's Sean Hannity's new boss? George Soros.
Jorge.
Let me know how long that's going to work out. Oh, wow. Is this a clip of Beck?
So this is a clip of Glenn Beck interviewing Brendan Carr. He is the FCC commissioner, and during this interview, Brendan Carr explains that the FCC fast-tracked this purchase unlike anything they've ever done before. It broke its own policies in order to fast-track George Soros' purchase of this radio station.
How recent was this interview?
This was 2 days ago, if you'd like to play it. But keep in mind,
please play it.
This is Glenn Beck talking about George Soros buying the radio stations on the radio stations that George Soros
your boss.
Exactly.
Your boss.
When he has a history of replacing these types of guys. Go ahead.
Do I have this right, first of all, about the George Soros takeover of radio stations?
And if so, why was there an exception made and fast-tracked?
Ligger dina gamla iPhones i byrålådan och samlar damm? Sälj dem till Swappy. Vi renoverar dem och ger dem nytt liv hos någon annan. Och du får cash direkt på kontot. Testa idag på swappy.se. Swappy, around for good.
Well, as you know, the New York Post has a story out last week, or actually yesterday, that says that the FCC last week adopted an order that effectively fast-tracks Soros's purchase of these 200 radio stations. And I haven't, commented on that publicly, because the fact is the FCC hasn't released a final decision to the public yet. But the reporting is that we adopted it last week in a 3-2 vote. I've been outspoken on this particular issue for the reasons that you talked about. We have a very clear process at the FCC that we've set up that could take 6 months, could take a year to go through to review the foreign ownership at issue here. But for reasons that are not sort of plain to me, the FCC Commission, for the very first time ever, has skipped that process for the benefit of this Soros-backed group. And I'll sort of let people draw their own conclusions about it. But again, it's an unprecedented decision for the commission.
Never happened before.
Yeah. And they're calling it...
That's right. We at the commission level...
He just found out that one of the most evil people on the planet just became his boss.
Yeah. And
my
God. They're calling it the quote-unquote Soros shortcut. And here's another thing. We talk about monopolies here all the time. Right? If you own 50% of a marketplace, right? Is that the number, Pat? 50% of the market share? Under the Federal Communications Act, no radio station license can be held by a corporation with more than 25% foreign ownership. The Soros Group has acknowledged that the level of foreign ownership of Odyssey, which they just bought, will definitely exceed that. And they still request that the FCC expedite the approval of the application for ownership to ready, quote unquote, allow them more time to quickly realize their ownership interests and take the reins in these hundreds of local radio stations across the country.
This is how much I feel bad for conservatives.
Yep.
This is how much I feel bad for you. You see this? Oh, that's the Illuminati side. This is how much I feel bad for you. I can go like this, like this. What do you want? This is how much I feel bad for you. You know why? Because you've had money for decades and you didn't buy shit, is what you did. I have zero sympathy for you. Zero sympathy for you. You had all this money and you didn't buy nothing. You sat on your asses while these guys bought it. And now you have to sit there and eat everything they're feeding you and your kids. Everything. You had the money. You lost public schools. You lost the media. You lost Hollywood. You lost all of that. You lost consulting firms. Every one of the major consulting firms in America, McKinsey, DEI, ESG, BCG, DEI, ESG, and Ernst & Young, DEI, ESG, Gartner, DEI, ESG. Hey, let us make your company have a higher DEI bullshit score. Yes, you screwed up. What are you going to do now? You upset? You going to do anything about it? You're still going to go golf 6 days a week and bitch about how much you don't like Kamala Harris. You caused this. Don't put this on anybody else. You've had money for a long-ass time. What'd you do with the money? Just say, let me put some money in this fund here. We're making 7 to 12%. Let's buy some debt here. Yeah, let's get, this is going to give us a municipal, okay, 5% tax-free? Oh, let's do this here. No, we don't want to operate. It's a lot of work is what it is. I don't want to do that. Okay, then stop bitching about it. I don't want to hear anything when conservative billionaires bitch about what's going on here and they're not putting their money where it's at. Yeah. Be quiet. You can't say nothing. You have the money and the ammunition and the resources. Either do something about it or sit your ass on the sidelines and say nothing. Nothing. Let your money get to work. Support some of these guys out there. If it's DW, give them $1 billion. Give them $500 million. If it's Another guy that you see, if it's someone that's starting something new, go support them. My feedback, because it's going to get worse. Because the other side understands they have your kids. Public schools, 95% of the teachers are on the left. They have your kids for 12 years. You know how long that is? Long-ass time. Then when you go to universities, they still have your kids. Okay? Then when they watch TV, they still have your kids.
Hollywood.
Then they watch YouTube, they still have your kids. Then when they go on Google, they still have your kids. Then when they go to ChatGPT, they still have your kids. Everywhere you go, they have your kids.
What?
So, if this case study proves that she wins, and by the way, this is not a 5-year fix. This is a 20-year fix. So whatever we do now, you won't be able to fix it till 2044. It's a long-term fix. We're going on a 40-year run by Taman. Okay, you know what's crazy? I'm sitting here because an interview is coming out. I'm going to be on the cover of Jet Set magazine that's coming out here at every private airport. 75,000 copies are going to be everywhere.
Sick.
They just sent me the picture of what it's going to. I'll show it once it's finalized. I'll show it to you guys on what the cover of the magazine is going to be. This is what it's going to be, by the way, Adam. I don't know if you've seen it or not. This is, you know,
McGregor?
So at all the
okay.
private airports, this is where
It's fucking dumb.
I'm not next
that's not
month.
up there yet.
This
next
is
month,
fucking
but
dumb.
what you-
No,
and they're
it's
talking
better,
about
yeah?
what you guys are doing, all this
It's
other
much
stuff.
better.
You know what it made me think about?
Okay.
Here's what it made me think about. It made me think about, like, right now, we're getting 500 to 3,000 resumes on a weekly basis. A bad week, 500 resumes of people saying, I want to work at Valuetainment. Wow. Big week, 3,000 resumes. Tom is sitting right next to you. Our HR reports to Tom, okay? And we're playing ball. We're going long term. We're going to play ball. We're going to have
Fuck it.
our own thing that we're doing. I would encourage others to realize either put the money and give it to someone to work, either invest and you go operate it. And if you have the money and you do neither, just go golf and don't say nothing.
Holy shit,
Because you're
the
just as
Q,
guilty
dude.
if you don't do anything with it. My opinion. I don't have the right there and sit and bitch about something when I'm not willing to do anything about it. If you don't have money, find a way to give back. If you have money, invest into something. And if you're a good operator, you're a good leader, you have the good brains, you're a good developer, you know you're smart. You know you are. Get in the freaking arena. Well, I'm 55 years old and I'm rich, I'm retired. Bullshit, go on a 15-year run. You're going to live till 85. What a miserable life to live, to just golf 5-6 days a week. Get in the ring. Get in the ring. This is not the time to sit on the sidelines. I have guys that are in their 30s wanting to retire. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, I don't understand that logic at all for some people. This is a very important time in the history of America. This is a real war that's taking place. They're trying to brainwash your kids and take them away from you. They're trying to brainwash you. America's a bad country. They're trying to brainwash, and some people are starting to believe that. I'm not okay with that.
Zorros.
Again, excuse my directness. A lot of these guys I have relationships with. You know, I would just advise you and encourage you. We need to collectively do something about it. Forget about, this is not a, you know, everybody has their own sword they want to die on. If it's pro-life, pro-choice, that's yours. Go for it. If it's economy, business, go for it. If it's freedom of speech, go for it. That's Musk. If there's so many different things. But you know what all of it comes down to? Leave me the hell alone. Let me just build my life. If I'm wrong, the world will know. If I'm a bad father, trust me, nowadays you can't hide it. If I'm a bad leader, the market's going to say it. If I'm a bad content creator and my ideas suck and my method of communicating is boring, you will lose audience. That's how brutal the market is. And then we have to pick ourselves back up and do something about it. But the community that loves what this incredible country was founded on, hey man, get in the ring. This beautiful country, she needs you right now like never before to be able to present the arguments better. It's very, very important right now to not be sitting on the sidelines and celebrating your victories from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or even a year ago. God gave you certain gifts. Get in the ring. You know you need to get in the ring. Get in the ring.
Get in the
This is not a
fucking
message to
ring,
everybody.
dude.
The message I just gave right now is really only to 2% of people that
Get
are
in the
I just wanna
fucking
say
ring.
one thing. By the way, the message, there's two people out there that are listening to this message. For the newer
I'm
listeners,
so
like,
tired.
oh damn, Pat is fired up right now.
Just-
Oh wow, he is. For older listeners, you know, 3, 4, 5 years we've been in this thing. You know exactly what Pat's talking about because Pat's been saying the exact same thing since we started the podcast in 2020, and if not longer. Get in the ring. This is going to happen. We see the writing on the wall. We see what's going on in schools. We see what's going on in media. I'm sitting there listening half the time, learning this stuff. I'm like, oh, damn, Pat's doing this. And Pat gives credit to a few different people half the time. Imagine if Elon Musk never bought Twitter. Imagine if the Twitter files never came out. Imagine if our friend Chris Pavlovsky never started Rumble. If never just was an alternative to YouTube. Respect to YouTube. Imagine if Rogan didn't go to Spotify. So these things that you're basically fired up about, I've heard this 100 times. You say this. Imagine the Daily Wire didn't do their thing.
There's only one. By the way, people think we hate Daily Wire. I freaking love the fact that Matt Walsh's documentary is going viral. I just want respect. To me, if you think you're better than me because you're what do you call it?
Elitist.
We're the
tassel.
Oh, you talk to me like I'm not that guy. I don't do talk to me directly. If I call you, you call me, hey, can we do this? You don't respond back and all this stuff. That's the part I don't like. But I want to see Daily Wire blow up. We don't have a problem with that because I think there's still a net positive.
I agree.
I want to see people that are questioning authority doing certain. I want them. I think Candace is necessary that's going out there saying that. That's like a complete 180 because she's getting certain questions that people have and say, well, I don't agree with this. Okay, great. I don't agree with certain things with Daily Wire. I don't think they agree with certain things I say. It's not supposed to be that way. But if we're in the space of freedom of speech where you can say what you want to say to the best of your abilities, we need to support that. Now, having said that, this here, Adam, is bigger than that. No, this is bigger. This is a real war. This is a real war that we're getting into. Let me read this Argentina here. What's going on, guys? Bad policies have consequences, so do good ones. Argentina scrapped its rent controls. Tom, I'm coming to you with this one here. Scrapped its rent controls. Now the market is thriving. This is a Wall Street Journal story. Argentina's removal of rent controls under President Javier Milei has triggered a rental market boom, and with Buenos Aires rental supply increasing over 170%. While rents are still high in normal terms, real prices have dropped 40% for adjusting for inflation, giving many renters better deals than before. Landlords who previously kept properties vacant or used them for short-term rentals, like Airbnb, are now returning them to the market. However, rent increases every 3 months allowed under new contract have made housing unaffordable for more, with tenants like Romina Micenta saying their rent increased almost threefold. Milei's economic overhaul includes removing price controls on essentials like milk, gas, aiming to curb Argentina's 237% inflation rate. Tom.
To be honest, fuck this. That's boring as fuck.
Secure your website with firewalls to keep hackers at bay.
Guess what? Capitalist leadership wins. What Milei did, so you have rent controls. You're one of my favorite
case study.
Exactly.
Actors.
So I tell you, you cannot rent that apartment for more than $4,000.
A dangerous South American street gang has rapidly gained a foothold in New York City, exploiting the migrant crisis to build a violent criminal empire. Originally from Venezuela, the gang has infiltrated city shelters right under the noses of authorities.
So a dangerous gang has infiltrated shelters in New York City and is now using one of them as their headquarters. And although over 200,000 asylum seekers have come here without the intention of joining gangs or committing crime, this gang from Venezuela is forcing people in our shelters to join them, and they aren't taking no for an answer.
America has allowed gangs to enter our country.
Randall's Island, where a large tent city has been set up to accommodate migrants, has become a recruitment hub for the gang. Prende Aragua uses fear tactics to strong-arm migrants into joining, threatening their families back home if they resist.
Do you feel safe at the shelter?
20% no. Sometimes people just fighting without no reason.
Now, this Trinidad Agua gang that originates in Venezuela has now made the United States their second home. This gang is now hidden in plain sight within the 1 million Venezuelans that have entered the country.
I grew up in this neighborhood. I've been here for 31 years. I was born and raised here,
and what I'm seeing here today is not what I grew up seeing.
This is turning into a red light district. There's no moral compass anymore.
Their influence stretches from Jackson Heights, Roosevelt Avenue to Randall's Island and epicenter of their operations. Prende Aragua uses clever tactics to blend in. Gang members disguise themselves as food delivery workers, riding mopeds and carrying delivery bags filled with weapons, allowing them to commit crimes while hiding in plain sight.
So it seems the worst of criminals are taking advantage of New York City's asylum crisis. But this gang problem has been growing all year long, right here in America's largest sanctuary city, and nobody's done anything to stop it. Even after captured gang members warned authorities that things were about to get worse. Because earlier this year, a moped crime ring was taken down, and that gang's leader warned authorities that the crimes he was committing were just a drop in the bucket. Which turned out to be true, because this past summer we saw a wave of robberies by thugs at restaurants and even in Central Park, revealing that something's happening in New York to grow our gang problem. And it's happening right under our noses as we run one of the largest humanitarian relief operations in the country, with massive shelters that still house around 50,000 people, and which no longer function as the humanitarian care centers they were set up to be, because they've been infiltrated by a network of criminals who, even after they get kicked out of our shelters, still end up coming back. A massive problem, not just for a city that claims it wants to help asylum seekers by taking care of them, but also for asylum seekers who fled poverty and violence in their home countries to come to America seeking a better life, only to find the very same gangs that destroyed the place they left. Which brings us to the real reason why we've now got gangs taking over shelters in New York and homes in other parts of the country. Sure, the idea of a humane, borderless society with no restrictions sounds like heaven on earth to some, until one realizes the forces of evil have been infiltrating these bastions of progressivism for a long time, causing harm to the innocent whether they live in a city-run shelter or not. And as you're about to see, these gangs have had almost 2 years at this point to take over and convert some of our shelters into their bases of operations. And they're doing it by forcing people getting off buses like these to help them, whether they like it or not.
Jag har en lyssnare som frågar, vad passar bäst till öl?
Dillchips.
Alltså, vilket paradigmskifte vi är i.
Ja.
Why is not working?
Trygg Hansa. Trygghet för livet.
So here we are behind New York City's Port Authority bus terminal, the first destination of many asylum seekers who are headed here. And although the next stop many have to make after arriving is to head over to the Roosevelt Hotel for their initial shelter placement, many of New York City's shelters have now been infiltrated by criminals, and there have been reports of rising gang violence at many of the facilities throughout the system, not just the giant tents over at Randall's Island. And obviously this is a huge problem for those fleeing gangs and criminal activity where they're from, but who now find themselves confronted by the type of criminals nobody ever imagined would be found in America. But critics are now saying the dysfunctional shelter system here in New York is precisely what's allowed these gangs to grow. And that raises a big question. Why would somebody come all the way here and get off a bus, try to start a new life, but then join a gang? Why would somebody do that?
Randall's Island, where a large tent city has been set up to accommodate migrants, has become a recruitment hub for the gang. Prende Aragua uses fear tactics to strong-arm migrants into joining, threatening their families back home if they resist. For those who refuse, they're labeled enemies of the gang. Now with its reach...
Sadly, that is a very persuasive offer, and it's being offered to people who have no connection to New York City at all and no base. They're here on their own, and they're told if they don't join a gang, they're going to become an enemy of that gang. And apparently this is happening most commonly at the massive tent facility on Randall's Island, which houses around 3,000 people, but has now been taken over by gang members who apparently have no problem recruiting new members from that facility, many of whom arrived in the city only days beforehand and are just getting settled. But sadly, the violence in our shelter system doesn't just affect newly arrived single adults, it's also affecting families, as several of the teenagers who were caught robbing people recently throughout the city and in Central Park claimed residence at the Roosevelt Hotel, where they lived with their parents. And that facility is a former luxury hotel, much better than a giant tent with a bunch of cots lined up next to each other, proving that we don't just have a gang violence and gang growth problem in one of our facilities. This is pervasive throughout the entire system. And it's an absolute nightmare scenario for parents who are now watching their kids get swept up in the violence they thought they'd left behind, and for the tens of thousands of single adults who are basically being told to join these gangs or suffer the consequences for not doing so. And this puts new arrivals in a no-win situation. Obviously, the city hasn't done a great job getting criminals out of the shelters, and if you check into a facility like that and a gang member tells you, hey, join us or you're gonna have problems, what are you supposed to say when they're obviously the ones running that place? People who came here not wanting to be criminals are being told that if they want to survive, they better turn to a life of crime. And what this has effectively turned our shelter system into is a recruiting zone for gang members who have constant new arrivals that they can approach with their offer of cooperation. And let's say you're in your 20s, you move into one of these shelters, you've got the promise of a better new life at your fingertips. But then 30 days after you move in, you're supposed to move out and you can't reapply because that's how the system works. You only get 30 days and that's it. And you've accomplished nothing. You've applied for asylum. You've got no job. You've got no future. This is a system that we've created here that is disillusioning a lot of people. And to make matters worse, surrounding that Randall's Island facility, we've got a plethora of tents all right outside. And the people living in those tents used to live in the shelter and are now no longer allowed to be there. It's a visual example these gangs can point to and say, see what happens if you don't join us, you're going to be living in a tent down by the river, literally.
Prende Aragua uses clever tactics to blend in. Gang members disguise themselves as food delivery workers, riding mopeds, and carrying delivery bags filled with weapons, allowing them to commit crimes while hiding in plain sight. The gang preys on vulnerable young migrants, forcing them into criminal activity. Many members are...
So even though gang members have been caught sneaking weapons into these shelters in backpacks that are used for food delivery, that system is still operating and they're still able to do it for some reason. After the Department of Homeless Services promised they were going to retrain all of their security guards to check every item that comes in, not just having people walk through body scanners. But apparently they're still not scanning people's food containers to see if there's some sort of weapon. This has been going on for months too. Many local outlets have written or covered it in some form. And it's essentially turning our shelters, which cost billions of dollars a year to operate, into prisons that don't rehabilitate anyone, run by gangs that are just here to commit crime and grow their criminal operation. Why are we helping them do that at the expense of the asylum seekers who this crisis is named after? That's not a good system. But I guess this is how things have to work in a sanctuary city, because here, if somebody gets arrested for a violent crime and they're a violent, dangerous person, our city won't share their immigration status with federal law enforcement. And since we've got soft on crime laws to begin with, a lot of times these folks just get released after they do something that in another state they might be locked up for. And not only does that give these criminal gangs an advantage, since their goal is to commit crime and get away with it, our system won't even remove criminals who do things that are bad from our shelters, which means when people get arrested and they go home, they go back to the very facilities they're terrorizing, while they wait for a court date that they're supposed to show up to on their own, when they will then face justice. Which reveals that it's not just our sanctuary city status that's a problem, it's that combined with the fact that we don't punish any criminal here for doing anything wrong, no matter where they're from. That has created the nightmare that is unfolding in a system that is supposed to help people.
Many members are as young as 15 and operate in groups, committing violent robberies across the city. In one recent spree, a man was brought by a group of 10 gang members for his phone and valuables. Another victim relaxing in Central Park was forced to give up his phone and $80.
Yeah, so here in New York, we've got this wonderful combination of laws, this dynamic duo that has created a haven for criminals. And according to critics, the system works like this. First, our right to shelter rules make New York an attractive destination for immigration. But since our job market isn't all it's cracked up to be for folks that have just come here from somewhere else, it leaves them unable to work or integrate with our society at all, which has given these criminal gangs everything they need to constantly grow and expand their operations. Every week, there are new people coming here who may not join a gang right away, but in 25 days, when they realize that they've got to leave the shelters having accomplished nothing, maybe then they'll do so. Of course, having to leave a shelter because you couldn't get a job in New York is no excuse for criminal activity. But remember, these gangs, they're telling people that, hey, we know you're your folks back home. Your family will suffer if you don't do what we say. And they're being given these frightening ultimatums after an army of humanitarian workers who work for the city brought them into our shelters telling them their best days were ahead of them, and then that turns out not to be true. And this is something New Yorkers were told as well. We were told that when people came here looking for work, they were going to plug right in with our economy, no problem. But out of the 200,000 people who've come here, only 2,000 have managed to accomplish that. And you know what? This isn't just a problem here in this sanctuary city. It's a problem at pretty much every sanctuary city in this country. And that's why these gangs are now a national problem.
På Amazon hittar du produkter som får dig att
Smart. American smart. As smart as Sweden, yeah.
Just here in New York. And observers say that's because, to an extent, every sanctuary city offers these guys more of an opportunity than a regular American city that will talk to federal immigration authorities, and which may also have laws they enforce. But with sanctuary cities scattered throughout this country from coast to coast, that has allowed this gang to be pretty much everywhere.
The reports from DHS are frightening. More than 1,000 trained Anawa gang members already in the U.S. Sanctuary cities like Chicago, Denver, and New York City are a particular concern as experts fear that the gang could take advantage of local policies to expand their operations.
Now, for years, sanctuary cities wore that status as a badge of honor in rebellion to a system that they felt was a...
Because he goes through stuff we go through. He's been shot at. Y'all getting to see through him what we live every day.
Yeah, Trump is my definition of a real gangster. He's just in a suit.
He's a gangster.
He's
man.
really a gangster.
You know what I'm saying? This is our life every day.
Trump's a gangster? What? I didn't think I'd hear black folks say that. So, things are really heating up across the country right now. I live in North Carolina. It's a swing state, supposedly. So I want to show YouTube an unfiltered look at what's on people's minds right now. Donald Trump was in town for a rally, so I attempted to talk to 20 Trump supporters. And then afterwards, I went to the hood, just 5 miles away, to try to talk to 20 folks from there. Try to be inclusive, get two sides. It's the middle of the day on the last Saturday of summer. I learned a lot, kinda. Oh, there's Trump right there. He's about to land. I don't know. That's an American Airlines. No, he wouldn't be on that. All right, we're at a Trump rally in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we're going to talk to some people here and find out how they feel about the direction of the country. There are a ton of people here. I think way more than they expected. We just walked probably a mile. A lot of these people aren't even going to be able to get in. And there's a lot of enthusiasm here, and a lot of people are fired up, so we're going to talk to some of them right now.
But I have a message for the Republicans. Find a spine, find a pair of cojones, and fight back. That's Trump fighting back, and this is the Republican Party. People are not here for the Republican Party. They're here for America, they're here for Trump, they're here for Israel. They're not for the Republican Party that needs to get off its ass and learn how to fight back, because we wouldn't be in this mess if they had a clue on how to fight back.
Almost everybody I talked to was pretty mild. Trump folks weren't all, woo-hoo, Trump, all in my face. I thought I'd see more crazy characters. Everybody's pretty chill. How do you feel about the direction of the country, Mike?
Fucking sucks right now. It's right where it's at. I mean, we had 4 years of greatness. We were going up, up, up. Then they did what they did, and now we got to beat it again. So we all have to get out there and vote. That's the main thing, man. We got to make it too big to rig.
Give me some examples of they ruined it. Like, what is wrong in the country that you're the most upset about?
The lies, the media lies. That's the number one thing. I think they are the biggest threat to our sovereignty. Just the brainwashing of the youth that they've tried to throw on us through CRT, through the LGBT push, through COVID, through all the mask mandates. You know, we call bullshit all the way, and we're standing strong today that we've been vindicated on everything that we fought for. So we're still in the battle to the end, man.
Battle to the end, man. Go, go, Trump. Go, go, Trump. We love Trump.
A lot of people in both sample groups didn't want to talk to me. I had a lot of conservatives turn me down, which surprised me. Of course, a lot of people in the hood didn't want to talk to me. Some white dude getting out of the car. No thanks. Can I get you on camera? Can talk to me? No? Okay. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm interviewing people, asking how they feel about the country, the direction of the country, and I was wondering if I could interview somebody.
Go over there and interview him.
Can I interview you? No, you don't want to talk? For real? Yeah, can I talk to you?
I said what I get shot at.
Why? Why?
Why? Man, this is...
Here, talk to me, man. Talk to me.
No, I'm good, man.
No?
No.
Come on, man. Tell me how you feel.
How I feel about what?
How you feel about the way the country's going?
How I feel? I'm good, man.
Really?
Yeah, I ain't talking, man.
All right. Come on, man.
Yeah, really.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Why do you say you get shot at if you say how you feel? What does that mean?
There's a lot of Republicans around here. I ain't no Republican.
There's Republicans in this neighborhood?
Yeah, I'm not a Republican, so why would I do that?
Well, you can say how you feel, man. That's a free country. You can say how you feel. Nobody's going to trip on that.
Free country, but that's not going to stop a bullet.
You really think...
Somebody saying what they want to say.
Wait. I'm in a barber shop, and you're telling me that a black man can't speak up in a barber shop about being a Democrat?
A black man can't speak up what he want to say in the barber shop to a white guy, and for everybody else that's going here out there.
Struggling to find the perfect learning content for your team? Too many requests,
Most of the people I talked to said the same stuff you see on TV all the time. How do you feel about the way the country's going?
It's going to hell in a handbasket, brother.
Country going to hell in a handbasket, you ask me?
To be honest, I feel like the country is going to hell in a handbasket.
This was Tamika. She was open and honest. Super nice woman. So you don't like either candidate running for president?
I'm not crazy about either candidate. I'm definitely not crazy about Trump. I'll just be honest, because he's very insightful. He's dangerous. But I haven't seen anything that Kamala and Biden has done for any of us, black or white.
So how do you vote then? How do you pick?
I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to pray. Honestly.
You're just not even going to vote at all?
I knew last election that I knew without a shadow of a doubt I was going to vote for Biden, right? Now I'm just, what sense does it make? But I still feel a sense of responsibility because of my heritage. You know, my mother and her grandmother and, you know, the people before her, you know, they were slaughtered at the lines, the pole, you know. So it's a catch-22 for somebody of color. So it's a slippery slope. It really is.
This guy was the most interesting person I talked to that day. His name's Thomas. He's a combination of both, a Trump supporter from the hood.
And what black people are simply stating is, as far as dealing with Trump, I mean, it's crazy because he's a white man, but hell, I feel like he's done the most for black people.
Hell yeah.
It's fucked up, and it should be for my own person. But finally, a white man has stepped up to try to do something right for black people, and that makes me feel good as shit. The fact that a black man, this is my personal opinion, I believe Trump will get maybe 40% of black men's votes.
I got it.
I think he'll get at least, my opinion now, I think he'll get at least 40% of black men. At least 40% of all black men's votes. It's our life every day, and you're just getting to see it. And so him being shot helped him win a black vote. Him going to prison, him getting these charges helped him win a black vote. We like, because, you know, a lot of times, you know, you have black people in this country who are innocent, who've been wrongfully convicted, thrown in prison to serve sentences for time that they did not deserve, and things of that sort.
I heard that more than once. There were a bunch of black folks that said they respect Trump, and that surprised me. What do you think about Trump? A lot of people...
As a black man that never got a handout in his life, my personal opinion on Trump, I like it. Why? And the only reason I do like him because he's telling you the truth. He's not gonna lie to you. Everybody else gonna lie to you just to get what they want and then do what they want to do. Trump gonna tell you the truth whether you like it or not. Okay. You gotta respect that. You just gotta respect that.
This is Michael. He used to vote conservative, but he can't stand Trump. Who are you planning on voting for and why?
Democrats.
Okay.
Straight Democrats.
Uh-huh.
Because Republicans are crazy. They're just pure crazy. And the following Trump, it shows you how corrupt I think they are when they know he's lying most of the time, and they still follow him. It's like, I don't know if you ever seen that movie on Netflix, Don't Look Up.
I need to watch that.
Watch that. Yeah, it's the same. Well, that movie I think was kind of about this. The stuff is coming down, and they're lying. They're telling you, "Oh, everything's okay," and all you gotta do is look up and see it. But you choose not to. And I think people who following Trump, I think they agree with those ideas that he's got about immigrants, about everybody, all the stuff that he talks about. So they're making it in their mind, oh, he must be right because he's saying what I'm thinking. And that's why they're following him. It's not their first time. It was about maybe they were, when he first came out, oh, they could have been fooled. But nah, they choose that. They choose, so to me they're not being misunderstood. They're just fools. They just follow it.
Is this a bigger turnout than people thought?
Absolutely. It's bigger than the last two that we have had. I've worked all of them.
There's a line of people that we just barely got to the end of it. It took us about an hour to walk to the end. A lot of these people aren't even be able to get in.
Yes, I know. We had to open up additional parking over here, and the line that everybody's going in is, we broadened that this year, and a lot more people.
Why do you think that?
Since 5. I was here most of the night.
Yeah.
And it's been busy.
Why do you think that is? Why did so many people turn out to this?
Because I think people are kind of fed up with what's going on in our country, and they want to show up to support it. Excuse me.
How do you feel about the direction of the country, Ken?
You don't have that much time.
Well, give me the 30-second version.
Okay. It's gone down the toilet.
How do you feel about the direction of the country?
Well, my main concern is the security, the border. We've got, something has to be done about that. The drugs, the illegal aliens that are coming over. It needs to change. So security is my big issue, and I think Trump will do it. Did it last time.
What do you think will happen if he does not win?
I really don't want to think about that.
I'm just asking people how they feel about the direction of the country.
Well, it's total crap. What else is there to say? We're falling apart. 11 million illegals who don't have to get vaxxed for COVID. All of us had to, right? And we got 1,200,000 Americans dead just from that freaky scene between Kamala and Biden.
Levi.
Yes, sir. Where do you live?
Durham, North Carolina.
Okay. How do you feel about the way the country's going right now, man?
I feel like Trump can improve the economy. I feel like he can help us with better jobs, better pay, Medicaid, a lot of things that Kamala can't do. I feel like he can.
Do you feel like the country's gotten worse since Biden and Harris have been in charge?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think is going to happen to the country if Trump does not win?
I think that the American dollar is going to collapse. That's what I think.
What's your name?
My name is Julian.
Do you live here?
I live in New York.
Oh, you're just visiting anyway?
I go to school at UNCW.
Okay. Well, how do you feel about the direction of the country?
Well, I think if the Democratic Party stays in office, I think we're kind of cooked.
Why?
Well, as a college student going into the real world, I want to be able to afford a house. And the way that Bidenomics has been ruining our economy, I don't think it's possible. House prices are up, like an average of $130,000 since COVID. That's really not affordable. We're turning into a renter society instead of an ownership society, and America's built on property ownership.
How many young people your age feel the same way as you do? Or you kind of feel like a lot of younger people? Because you always hear younger people vote Democrat, right?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people probably feel the same way as me. If a young person's not thinking about buying a house yet, they definitely feel the effects of the economy when they're in the grocery store or they're trying to buy whatever they want to buy. Prices are up, and I think people are feeling it.
So tell me, how do you feel about the direction of the country right now?
Well, let's just say that under President Trump, it was prospering. Everything was going back to make America great again. But under Biden, everything flipped again. The world is burning, America's burning, and the world is burning along with her.
So how are you planning on voting then, knowing what's going on right now?
I'm not voting.
You're not?
No. What the hell would I vote for?
You don't like either one of them?
No. You know, shit. What would I vote for? Really, honestly. Let me ask your opinion. If I vote, what is it actually going to really help?
It's just our right to express how we feel about the country. I agree.
I get expression. We express ourselves all the time, but shit, that don't change shit. That don't change nothing. Shit gets worse after you express it. If you pay attention, it actually gets worse. Once they see that you actually aware of what's going on, that's where your problems come in at. Then you're being crazy.
So who are you going to vote for then?
I don't vote.
You don't vote?
I don't vote.
Okay.
I never could get past, I couldn't report, you know what I'm saying? So, I vote.
Who are you going to vote for in November, and why?
I'm going to stop this year.
You're not going to vote at all?
No, get them back, they politicians. I mean, we here for 400 years politicking. Only time we ever had something after 1800s, after slavery, they let us get into it because it was more of us than it was them. We had power to elect our own officials to work.
I'm just asking people, what's up, man?
What's up?
I'm Nick.
My name's Shice Bug.
What's going on, man? I'm just asking people how they feel about the country, man.
America?
About this country. This country.
Wilmington?
The USA.
Oh, I got you. Let me see.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cuss.
No, I don't care what you say, man.
Listen, this is Shice Bug reporting to you live, 13th and Nan, the block. But listen, this was going on in America. The cost of living is too high. The rent is going up. They're not teaching the kids nothing in school. They are, but they're not giving them the real stuff to train them for real life out here. Now, as far as the other stuff, the criminal stuff, it's criminal stuff going on everywhere in America. But it all depends on what you do and how you move. Just pay attention, keep your eyes open. Everything is going on. But you got a chance to make it right on your own.
Who are you voting for and why?
Kamala Harris.
Why is that?
Why? Because she's going to do better than the last president. She's going to really get down to them issues. She's going to get down to the issues